Hello everyone, welcome back to On Location here. Today I'm on location here at ParkerWoods and Buttercup Valley Nature Preserves. These are two different nature preserves that are directly connected by the same trail system. I am parked here nearby, at least to start for the day, at ParkerWoods. Now there's a paved path that takes you uphill here into some more dirt and muddy trails. It's been raining quite recently, quite a bit, and so I think it's going to be fairly muddy for the day. But we're going to see here. I can't quite tell from the start here. Now, these places are directly connected, like I said. There's no designated parking. There's just basically about, I think, 5 or 6 different streets that dead end or have no outlet that you can park at. And it just takes you directly on the trail at different points on the nature preserves. So keep that in mind, of course. You'll have to do some look at the maps, and just check which places to park at. It's pretty nice places. They're very woodsy. There's some really nice old growth trees. Some of them are even over 200 years old. It's a very great example of mature woodland here, and it's been largely unaltered since the pioneer days. And there's a restored prairie meadow in the Buttercup Valley section that we may see today that is also very nice. The ParkerWoods section of the nature preserve was donated by Alexander Langland Parker. He donated it to the Park District for the public to enjoy. I think it's going to be a very nice visit. Spring ephemeral flowers are on my mind as we are getting to near the end of winter here into spring. There's a couple in mind that I may see today, at least I'm hoping to see. We are still just a little bit early. We may see some daffodils, which are technically non-native, but you may see those. And then I'm also hoping for some white fawn lilies, some Virginia spring beauties, some Dutchman breeches, and purple cress are kind of like my targets for the day. If we can even see a few kind of like groupings or clusters of those in bloom, that'd be pretty awesome. But I'm holding my breath on it. It's still a little bit too early, but we've had some very warm temperatures lately, and today's a nice, beautiful, sunny day that's pouring through the leafless, trees in the woodland here. And so I'm really thinking this could be a good visit, hopefully, for wildflowers. So I'm going to check them out here, and regardless, have a nice little late morning hike here. It's about 50 degrees or so pretty frigid and cold. There's a slight breeze as well, but that sun definitely makes it feel very warm, by contrast at least. So I think it's going to be a nice hike. So let's go ahead and get started here and see what we get for the day. All right, so just behind me here, along these steps right here, I was just going down them and I happened to notice this very tiny wildflower. It's actually a Harbinger-of-Spring, also known as, I think it has a nickname, salt and pepper, because it kind of just has this like flakiness to it. They're very just extremely small and unassuming, and I almost walked by them, honestly. But that's definitely a great one you get here in the very late winter, early spring here on the wooded hillsides. Such as here at ParkerWoods. So I was quite surprised to get that, actually. Not surprised, but it was not one I was expecting or not thinking about getting, I guess. But it was right along literally the steps of this path. So I had to awkwardly like stabilize my tripod and everything, and lots of people and dog walkers walking by. So definitely had to be quick. Didn't really get much, B-roll, I guess, or whatever, but did get a little bit of video and some photos. I shot it on my 16-35 f4, doing about 35 millimeters. Why would I shoot a wide angle lens for these very small wildflowers? And that's because right behind it was one of the wooded steps, and it just had this nice green moss color, which I thought provided a nice backdrop. It was pretty close up, so I didn't really provide much depth of field with it, but I still thought it was really cool to get that kind of like greenish color to offset the white. Because these little wildflowers really they poke out of all of the leaves and stuff on the ground. Shooting them at about 60th of a second, f8 and ISO 100. 2-second timer mounted on a tripod, no filters, just nice and quick. because it was just an awkward area right here. I had to like try to position myself off to the edge of the trail, but I was kind of blocking the steps. So as people were going by, it was kind of tough to get around and everything. So I had to be quick on my feet to get a couple images, but overall pretty great. So great start to it. Up at the entrance, or near the start at least, up here, before I got to the Harbinger-of-Spring, there was some, in the grassy lawn, some purple henbit. Those are typically, considered weeds, but they do have some medicinal benefits if you research that, and are just on their own really pretty and can become pollinators for insects as well. Pretty good day out, lots of birdsong. I'm really surprised by it, but it is a nice, gorgeous, sunny day for that matter, and yeah, pretty nice. Even over here, I think I saw some, somewhere around here, Dutchman breeches, leaves or whatever that were, no blooms of the flowers themselves, but some Dutchman breeches leaves, which was pretty cool. So I feel like I'm all over the place, but there's a lot of people around here, and so that's kind of like throwing me off track a little bit, but we've still got quite a ways to go on our hike here, and so let's see if we can get any other wildflowers while we're here. All right, so I reached the end, so to speak, of Buttercup Valley. Didn't see too much really, just a lot of invasive species and stuff. A lot of the understory and the ground cover seems to be like winter creeper and a lot of ivy and stuff that has just overrun the whole forest floor here, unfortunately. But still a lot of great old growth trees and stuff. Still very, pretty and scenic. There was like one trail I took that was very kind of like tighter, I guess, if that makes sense. Like it was not overgrown, but it was just a lot more tighter than the much more expansive stuff that I've seen on the other places or the other areas of Buttercup Valley and Parker Woods. And so, yeah, it's kind of unfortunate, but still a very beautiful day out. Very, very nice. Hearing a lot of woodland species and songbirds and stuff. Definitely a lot of woodpeckers. Heard a loud pileated woodpecker as well out here. Had my first of the year eastern phoebe, or at least maybe two of them, with its classic unmistakable phoebe or Fitzbee call that it does constantly. So that's a cool flycatcher species to see and get. But other than that, yeah, not too much else. In the way of photos, there was some like moss and stuff. I was kind of like eyeballing and framing, I guess, and composing in my head of how to do like a vertical image of that with a very small aperture of like f20 or f22. using a wide angle lens and incorporating the sun and making a sunburst. I didn't take it because it was just, the sun was a little too high up in the sky, a little too far up, and I'd have to back up way further than I could realistically, because I'd be going like way off trail. And it was also, once again, unfortunately, on some like wooden steps that were placed on a hill. So definitely a much more sloped and tricky landscape to compose or whatever. But other than that, can't complain. I mean, it's been a nice day out. I'm glad to see the Harbinger-of-Spring and the earliest spring ephemeral flowers, at least the leaves, the green leaves that is, starting to come up in spots, especially in Parker Woods. But I think from here I'm going to go hike back, maybe check out that prairie meadow and some of the other side trails and stuff along the way, and keep my eyes, of course, on the ground floor, and just in case there is some flowers popping up right now for our visit today. So let's go ahead and continue, I guess, on. So I found yet another stretch of the Harbinger-of-Spring here, at least this time on the Buttercup Valley section of the preserve. It is looking pretty nice. There's a lot smaller ones, but they're all lined up, and I'm thankfully not on a sloped staircase or whatever. So I haven't seen anyone for like an hour or two on the trails here, at least on this side. So I'm definitely taking my time with this at least. And this time I'm actually opting to do a telephoto with an extension tube setup, my macro setup that is what I call it. And it's actually been working out pretty well. Been doing a little bit more manipulation of the landscape, and by that I mean, don't worry, I'm not picking any flowers or anything. I'm just merely brushing away some of the leaves, as these flowers can sometimes, they almost look like they're struggling to get through, to poke through the leaves and everything. And that's what makes them so small and unassuming, is that they're just always blocked over by all the leaves and everything on the ground, of course. And so I found this really nice one with a nice kind of maroon to green, like gradient, almost like stem, and a nice long one too. And that's what I'm going to be photographing for this. It's actually been working out pretty well, I think. I'm doing a much more of the macro magnified aspect, of course, of it, and doing a vertical, once again, composition with it. And the way that it just shows the dirt, behind it or whatever, I feel like just really helps offset the subject of the flower, of course, and makes it a lot better photo than if I just did it with all of the leaves and everything surrounding it and whatnot. I think it's worked out pretty well. I really like it. Even with this really, we're just past 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Even with this lighting, it still just looks really, really nice, I think. And underexposing it by about a stop of light, a full stop that is, just because it is really small white flowers that can easily be overexposed with all this light that's coming in right sort of behind me too, from the side here. 1/40th of a second, f8 and ISO 100, 2-second timer on a tripod, so nothing else much else to it, so pretty cool. Pretty glad to get this. It seems to be the wildflower of the day, so which can't complain. I haven't seen any really of the ones that I've been looking for, but this is definitely one that comes out this time of year, so I'm pretty glad to get this one. All right, so this next part here looks like where the prairie meadow is situated, but it's very much like a scrub shrub habitat. Definitely, you know, reminiscent of some other places I've been to, like Oaks Quarry. Definitely some still standing water, that is, all around and everything. But definitely out in the open here. You can see the sun's in full force today for the afternoon. Because of that, I think I'm going to wrap up the video here. I still got a little ways to go here, just past all the way or to the border, I guess. And there's no designated border really, but just where I think Buttercup Valley and Parker Woods meet. And so I got a little ways to go here to get back to the car. But all in all, it's been a great day actually. It's been a pretty good hike, very strenuous actually, and it's gotten very hot. It's now well past 60 degrees today, so very warm, but was definitely a great time. And I was really glad to get some photos, some more photos that is, of the Harbinger-of-Spring, and to share it with you guys on a video. This has been Parker Woods and Buttercup Valley Nature Preserves. And until next time, make sure to get out here. Thank you.